How's it going, guys? Welcome back to After the Catch, presented by PGM. I'm your boy KB.
It's your boy Playoff. What's up? We are excited and happy to be, chopping it up once again about college football. We're doing it a little bit differently, so we're going to do one episode about college football and another separate episode about the NFL going forward. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. And this is the college football episode. And let's get into it. A lot of exciting things happened last weekend. It was rivalry week, so had some great games, had some craziness after the games that we'll get into. So let's start this rundown. So digging into these games from last weekend, let's see. Let's run through some of the top 25. On Thursday, Thanksgiving, Tulane played Memphis. Memphis actually ended up upsetting Tulane 34-24.
Watch that game live. It was very hard. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
So you did watch it or you didn't watch it?
I did. I was with my fiance's mom's side of the family. We were watching. They're big fans of Tulane. I'm very sorry, y'all. It was tough.
Man, yeah. They were rooting for Tulane.
Exactly. My fiance, her uncle Mike was very, very upset Tulane was losing because I'm pretty sure his sister's niece, she's like a sports reporter for there. So
okay, gotcha.
It was tough. Yeah, it was tough for him watching that game.
That's unfortunate, man. That sucks. So they lose that game. Boise State, ranked number 11 at the time, handled Oregon State. They beat them 34-18. So the game wasn't really that close. Ole Miss was ranked number 14. They played their rival Mississippi State. And Ole Miss handled them. The score was 26-14. Colorado. I didn't actually watch this game at all, but they played Oklahoma State, and they beat them 52-0. Oklahoma State might as well not showing up. Did you catch any of that game at all?
I did. Shedeur looked good. Travis Hunter looked good. The whole team looked good. But nah, it was a very dominant game, and it was, as they say, a statement game.
Do you feel, because I saw some chatter on the timeline that people were like, they felt like Colorado was trying to run up the score or stat pad, or maybe they were just trying to make Travis Hunter look good with the Heisman, voting and all that stuff. Do you feel like that's accurate, or do you think it was just like the regular flow of the game?
I thought they tried to run up the score a little bit. Of course, you want them to win the Heisman, but I think it's going to. I'm sorry to break people's hearts, but I think it's going to Genty.
So you think it's going to Genty?
Yeah, because it's like, dude, he's about to break. I think he's gonna happen. I think he's gonna break or get damn near close to breaking Barry Sanders' running record, which is amazing, by the way. But yeah, I think it's gonna be Genty. Should it go to Travis Hunter? Yes. Would I be mad if it goes to Travis Hunter? No. Gotcha. But it's like, I don't think he's playing two positions in the NFL. So it's like, I know what you did here, but you're not the best wide receiver, nor are you the best corner. You just play both ways.
Gotcha.
I don't believe in getting an award for playing both ways. So
I understand. So again, that game was a blowout. Let's look at some of these other ones. Oregon continued. They've been dominant all season. They played Washington. The final score was 49-21. Texas and Texas A&M. The game was actually a little bit closer than I thought it would be. Texas A&M just couldn't get anything going offensively, and they kept just making like mistakes. But Texas ended up winning that one 17-7.
They couldn't stop the run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another thing too. The running back. Let me figure out what his name is. Quintrevion Wisner, I want to say is his name. He had 186 rushing yards in that game. Like Texas A&M couldn't do anything with him. Quinn Ewers, he looked a little shaky. I know he was coming off that ankle injury, so I don't know how much that impacted him. Yes. But moving on to the next game, Penn State, ranked number 4. They beat up on Maryland pretty badly. The score was 44-7. Notre Dame beat up on Southern Cal. The game wasn't nearly as close as the score is, or the score ended up being, but Notre Dame won 49-35. Miami, which was probably one of the bigger upsets of last weekend, ended up losing to Syracuse, 42-38. Syracuse is no slouch, but they weren't ranked at the time when they beat them. So that loss, and we'll get into it when we talk about the College Football Playoff rankings.
Okay.
A little bit later in the episode, but that loss really hurt them because I mean, Miami was, even though they hadn't really. Their schedule hadn't really been tough, but they were looking good, and so they were looking good. So that loss really ended up hurting them, I feel like. And let me look at. I just want to take a quick look at Miami's schedule and Syracuse's schedule.
I thought Syracuse beat somebody else that was good besides Miami.
Yeah, they did. It was this is Syracuse's schedule. They beat Ohio, beat Georgia Tech, who was ranked 23 at the time, I believe. They lost to Stanford. Is that Holy Cross? Who's that? I say it's Holy Cross. They beat UNLV, who was ranked 25. They beat North Carolina State. They lost to Pitt, who was ranked 19 at the time. They beat Virginia Tech. They lost to Boston College. They beat Cal. They beat UConn, and then they beat Miami. So they have some. I mean, not great wins, but they have some. Their schedule, like the wins that they have, are some of the wins they have are quality wins.
Gotcha.
Whereas I feel like Miami's schedule has been really soft. They beat Florida, FAMU, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, FSU, Duke, lost to Georgia Tech, which looks bad, and then they beat Wake Forest and then losing to Syracuse. So yeah, they didn't do themselves any favor with that loss there. Tennessee beat Vanderbilt 36-23. SMU put a beat down on California. The final score is 38-6. Indiana put a beat down on Purdue. They beat them 66-0.
Sheesh.
Let's see. Alabama beat Auburn. Final score 28-14. No surprise there. Arizona State. They smoked Arizona. The final score is 49-7. Iowa State ended up beating Kansas State. Iowa State was ranked 18. Kansas State was ranked 24. The final score was Iowa State 29 and Kansas State 21. And Iowa State is going. We'll get into it a little bit later, but they're moving on to the Big 12 championship. With that win, BYU beat Houston 30-18. Missouri beat Arkansas 28-21. UNLV, the number 22 ranked team in the country, beat Nevada 38-14. And then Illinois, ranked number 23, beat Northwestern 38-28. I want to say that's those are the final scores of the top 25 teams in the nation. So were there any of those games that kind of stuck out to you before we get into the next topic?
I mean, all the ones I think we thought were going to happen besides the Miami one. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
That quarterback is getting a lot of buzz for Syracuse. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would.
I didn't know. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. I didn't know that was the current Syracuse quarterback was the Ohio State quarterback from last season. He transferred. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So
that dude can throw. He can throw.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. But let's get rivalry weekend was it was exciting. There were some great games. And it kind of leads us to the next topic. With rivalries, they get heated. And one thing that's kind of become really popular in rivalry games is planting the flag, especially if you're the road team, you planting your flag at on the home team symbol at midfield.
And so you know what we can also say? We can also just watch it right after this.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get that added for sure.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest rivalries in college football, Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan ended up winning that game in a huge upset. The final score was 13-10, so not a lot of offense in that one, and that really favored Michigan. Because Ohio State's they're a high-powered offense. They've been scoring a lot of points all year. Right. So Michigan basically came in there and locked them up, like clamped them, and so it got a little hot. Like I said, it's one of the bigger rivalries in college football, and Michigan attempted to plant the flag at midfield on Ohio State's field, and it got ugly. They started fighting, started tussling. There was some pepper spray, from the Ohio State security side. What did you think about that? Do you think that there's room for that in college football, or do you think that? And they weren't the only ones, but it happened. I'm sure Tony can add some footage from some of these other games that happened. Well, I know it for sure happened in Florida and Florida State, because the Florida State coach Mike Norvell got upset. Like, when they went to go shake hands, he was upset with the Florida coach, and it's like, my thing is, the way I feel about it, if you don't want the team to plant their flag, then handle it on the field and beat them. That's how I feel. Like, and it's like, if you don't want it to happen, then that's fully in your control.
Hey, we're just saying, dog.
But anyway, so what do you think that they're going to the NCAA is going to have to take some steps to prevent that from happening in the future? Do you have an issue with the fighting? Like, how do you feel about it?
So first off, Ohio State was projected to win. Let's be real, right?
Okay.
And when it comes to rivalry, the players do things players ain't never done before. So us seeing Ohio State get their butts handed to them, and the dumbfounded look on Coach Day's face when they lost, and I'm gonna need that clip. I'm gonna need Tony to show us that clip, because he had like a like he's dead, like he's done.
Yeah, like a deer in headlights. Like he couldn't believe it.
And it's like, bro, like, do you not understand? Like, Michigan State just not a walkover. Like, they don't like y'all, so they're definitely gonna put an extra, little pep in their step when it comes to trying to play against you guys. So when they lost, it looked like Ohio State was the haters. They were mad because they lost, and Michigan State got that flag, tried to plant it, did not work, and the Ohio State players came, grabbed it, and they got into a tussle. And I just think, Ohio State was salty. I mean, they should have won it. They were projected to win it. They were, number 2 in the nation at the time. Mm-hmm. And, they shouldn't be losing. Don't lose.
No. Win. So you don't have an issue with it then?
I don't have an issue with them putting the flag down there, no. If it's that big of an issue, maybe the coaches need to discuss it amongst each other, but the players, like, they can honestly, with that fight, players can get suspended from playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, that's like, if I'm the commissioner, and a lot of people would hate me if I was, who all was involved in that fight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players are suspended. They're not playing in the first round. Oh, well, that's our league running back. That's our starting quarterback. Looks like he ain't going to be the starting quarterback for playoffs. And you got to survive from there. And then that'll really shake things up. You know what I mean? So it's like stuff like that.
No, I got you. I'm with you. Like, I understand, as a fan of a team that has a rivalry. I mean, I can't remember what year it happened, but there was a year where South Carolina and Clemson were playing, and they started scrapping, like, on the field. Like, it got, like, out of hand, and it got ugly. And and it was during the game. It wasn't after the game. I don't believe. I'll have to go back and double check. But you don't want that type of stuff to happen. At the same time, I mean, you're dealing with kids, and it's high level competition. Neither side wants to lose. I think what also hurt, like the reason why Ohio State was in their feelings, they haven't beaten Michigan in the last 4 years. They've been beat four. This is the fourth year in a row.
Yes.
And so it's like you have some of those kids that came to Ohio State as freshmen, to play football there. They literally never beaten Michigan since they've been there. So it hurts. I mean, especially for the seniors that are graduating, or if the ones that are going to the NFL or whatever the situation might be, if they're not going to be playing anymore, that really stings. To lose to your rival, and y'all have aspirations of potentially winning a championship. You're playing them, and they're unranked. You're thinking, okay, this is a layup. We're gonna put it to these boys. And Michigan came in there and punched you in the mouth and made you look soft. And so, I get it. You don't want it to rise to that type of like ugliness. You know what I mean? Especially when you got security people pepper spraying Michigan players and that sort of thing like that. That can't happen. That's inexcusable. And like you said, I think, emotions are going to get high in those situations either way, but the coaches have to do a better job of managing their own team's emotions and having you have a conversation between the two of you, like, listen, neither of us is going to do this, as far as like flag planting or whatever. Come to some sort of agreement on what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and do it before the game, and then just let that be that. But I mean, I don't have an issue with the flag planting in general, but I don't want it to reach those types of like levels of ugliness. So
right, and it's more of less like when stuff like that happens, and you guys are known for not liking each other. As a coach, after we win, everybody locker room. Yep. And you, the coaches, will be the only people that go shake hands and get out of there. Because the last thing you need is a big brawl like that happening, and then something that risky happening. Because kids can get hurt.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So getting pepper sprayed is just another level of just unnecessary. It's just something that's unnecessary, and it would have happened if they didn't get into that fight.
Exactly, and I haven't really heard anything on potential suspensions so far.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if suspensions happen. But with what's at stake especially for Ohio State, I mean, because Michigan season is over. They're not in the. They didn't have nearly good enough season to get into the playoff. But for Ohio State, they got a lot like on the line coming up, and like you said, you don't want one of your players to get suspended just because they kind of lost control in a big moment. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, so let's move into the next topic. On Friday after Thanksgiving, there was a pretty exciting game.
Man,
that happened. Georgia Tech ended up going to 8 overtimes. What did you watch it live? Like,
yo, I watched it live, and that was the most stressful of all season. I've never seen us. Well, you know what? No, that's a lie. I've seen us think we're going to beat someone, like beat them, and lose against Ole Miss. We thought we were going to beat the brakes off them. We ended up getting embarrassed, right? Coming into this game, it just seemed like we thought we had it made. And Hayes King, I think it's Hayes King, or the quarterback, King, for Georgia Tech, ran all over the field. The running backs ran all over the field. We didn't finish our tackles, couldn't wrap up. And at the end of the day, it ended up going to 8 overtimes. 8. And if you didn't know, 8, it's not like the NFL. Like, you can't score and it's over. You got to score and get a stop. You got to score and get a stop. You got to score and get a stop. It went all the way until 8 overtimes for us to get the stop, and it was game over. So it's like it was tough. It was a gritty win, but now it's more or less. I think it's a lesson that the players need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
To where now it's Mark's market. Like now, Kirby Smart can literally say, "Now y'all got to listen, because now you guys don't got it made. We're not number one, we're not two, we're number 5 now, and the fact that you guys couldn't beat Georgia Tech." It makes you guys look. It makes us look soft. Like Georgia Bulldogs are known for having a stout defensive line, like aggressive linebackers, one of the more athletic linebackers in the nation. So when we ended up going in overtimes, it was very frustrating because we know we're better than that. But on top of that, it's just we underestimated the team, just like Ohio State did with Michigan State. But we end up coming on top. But now we're going to come Saturday, you know what I mean? Now it's going to be even worse. But this game was very stressful. Carson Beck, I will give him, he did show poise, and he was calm. It's just he made a lot of mistakes that I didn't like. But at the end of the day, don't matter how you win. It don't matter if you win. It matters how you win. So.
Yeah, I watched that game live, and not from the very beginning, but I want to say like when I turned to it, I saw that Georgia Tech was, they were playing well. They were scoring. Like you said, Hayes King, he was, I was looking at his stats really quickly. He threw the ball for 303 yards with 2 touchdowns, and then he ran for another 110 with another 3 touchdowns. So like he was doing everything. Yeah, he was doing everything for that team. And I was like, man, like, and like you said, it just the mistakes. There was the fumble by the wide receiver, Lovett, I want to say is his name. Just like that kind of stuff can't happen. You know what I mean? You could just tell like he wasn't really taking care of the ball. Ended up getting stripped. The defense, and I don't know if y'all just, Georgia Tech's, especially like a dual threat quarterback like that, they're tough to cover, and so they're tough to prepare for. And it's annoying as a defense when you're used to just playing like a drop back quarterback versus someone who is lethal throwing the ball or running it. It's just something else that you have to account for. And like you said, Georgia's defense is y'all are well known for being stout, creating turnovers, getting after the quarterback, just playing tough defense, and y'all just didn't look like yourselves. And it's like Georgia Tech, like there were moments where I feel like they could have. I feel like Georgia Tech, to a certain degree, didn't really play to win because I feel like they had opportunities where they really could have taken like control of the game, and they chose like they didn't really go for the jugular, and that allowed Georgia to come back. And my whole thing, I knew, or I had a feeling rather, like I was like, if it goes to overtime, Georgia's gonna win. Georgia, if they allow y'all to sneak back into this game, then y'all gonna find a way to pull it out. And I mean, ultimately, y'all were the more talented team, and that's what ended up happening. I didn't think it would take 8 overtimes. Like 8 overtimes is crazy. And I do think maybe there was because Georgia has, they're in the College Football Playoff. Haven't played perfect football this year, but they still
not at all.
They're still a threat. If y'all put it together at the right time, you never know what can happen. So I don't know if there's an element to it where y'all were kind of overlooking Georgia Tech and maybe thinking about the SEC championship. I'm not really sure.
All game. We were overlooking them all game.
Yeah. And I do think y'all just, kind of like, oh, man, it's Georgia Tech. Like, we'll be able to handle these boys easily. And Georgia Tech came out and they were, they're like, oh, we can play with them a little bit, and like once a team, it's hard to stop a team once they get confidence, and they feel like they get that momentum and they're like, okay, we didn't really expect to be able to come in here and play with these boys, but we're playing with them and we got a real shot to win this game.
Right.
But, ultimately y'all pulled it out. And like I said, it doesn't, for Georgia fans, I'm sure a lot of Georgia fans were thinking it was, maybe y'all were going to dominate them or whatever, but you still get the W. Ultimately, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, So yeah, any other thoughts on that before we go into the next topic?
I just want to thank Georgia Tech. Thank you for waking us up. Because
Yeah.
if you don't wake us up, I don't know what game is going to wake us up. Because I think that was probably the most grueling game or the longest and stressful game because that they had to play past exhaustion. Like they were dead tired. So it's just like from all facets of the game. The one person I do want to shout out for who grew up in that game, Nate Frazier.
Okay, the running back.
The running back, junior, and he rushed for 3 touchdowns, I think, and he was gritting, he was grinding. I think he fumbled the ball once, I think, that game. And he was literally playing his butt off with our starting running back, who's also transferred from Florida, Trevor Etienne, his big brother plays for the Jags. He had a rib injury, a fractured rib, so he didn't even play. He's been out a couple games already, and he's questionable for the SEC championship game. But Nate Frazier to come in, the 2 running backs that we had available, or 3, the 2 running backs we had out of the 3 were freshmen. So Chauncey Bowens and Nate Frazier Jr. ran the ball, but they were both freshmen, both playing, and they grinded it out. So I'm glad we did it. They woke us up, but proud of the freshmen for stepping up.
No, 100%. I think ultimately, for the fans, not necessarily Georgia fans, but for college football fans in general, it was a really entertaining game to watch. And like I said, there was a part of me that couldn't believe it went 8 overtimes, but it was an exciting game, and I'm glad I watched it. So next, let's get into my team, South Carolina. The Gamecocks ended up going to Clemson, and we pulled it off. It was a nail biter. Final score ended up being 17-14. It was at Clemson. Just to break down some stats really quickly, Lenore Sellers, who was by far the best player for South Carolina. He went 13 for 21 on passes for 164 yards. He had 16 rushes for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, man, I mean, honestly, the story of the game for me, and South Carolina had been on quite a roll. Like this was, we were on a 5-game winning streak coming into the game. You're playing in a tough environment. Clemson, even as much trash as I talk about Clemson, Dabo Swinney he's built a heck of a program up there. They were ranked, what were they in that game? 12, going into that game, and that's a tough place to play. So the offense started out a little bit. Well, it started out fast. We received the ball first. Lenoris. One thing that really I feel like was the key to victory is like Lenoris being able to step up in the pocket and evade pressure. Like Clemson was getting pressure on him, defensive linemen were, but he just found a way to get out of it, and he was turning it into big rushing opportunities. The thing that sucked is like we were driving down the field on the first drive, and Lenoris is, he's doing his thing, looking good, and then he fumbled the ball, and so it was a back and forth game, and really, there were moments where South Carolina wasn't really able to take advantage of the opportunity. We weren't really scoring. It was a low scoring game, 17-14. And I'm thinking, okay, Clemson is just they're going to take off at some point, and they're going to, take control of this game. But the defense held up. The defensive line didn't really get as much pressure as I'm used to seeing them get. We only ended up having 1 sack the entire game. Whereas normally, we really get after the quarterback. I don't think we did end up getting 1 interception at the end of the game. And that's what ended up sealing the victory. What gave us the lead was Lenoris, again, another rushing opportunity. Clemson is coming after him with pressure. He steps up in the pocket. I want to say it was 3rd and 20. And at this point, I'm thinking we have to score a touchdown in order to win. So Like regardless of the situation, we're not kicking a field goal. But 3rd and 20 is not the best spot to be in. And so Lenoris, he gets the ball and he's able to run. And I'm thinking he's just running to get the first down. And the goal line wasn't too much further from the first down anyway because we were already in the red zone. So I'm thinking he's just going to get the first, or he's going to get close to the first, and maybe we have to go for it on 4th down. But he ended up the Clemson defenders just weren't able to get their hands on him, and he ran into the end zone. And so
that play was wild.
Yeah, exactly. And I was happy we scored, but then I was looking at the clock and I'm like, Clemson still has plenty of time right here.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, hopefully the defense can get a turnover, but if nothing else, like at least don't let them score a touchdown. And like make them kick a field goal, it goes to overtime. Well, Clemson gets the ball back. I mean, they start driving down the field, like getting huge chunks of yardage. And I'm like, man, what are y'all doing? And so the linebacker for us, I want to say the one that caught the interception, his name is Demetrius Knight, number 17, Demetrius Knight Jr. Shout out to Demetrius. Ended up getting the interception, sealed the game for us. And man, I'm sure my neighbors were like, they heard me screaming. They thought something was wrong with me, or they thought I was having some sort of medical emergency. But man, it just felt so good I felt like that was a perfect way to end the regular season for us. And, we talked about this, in a couple episodes this year. Coming into this season, I wasn't really sure about Shane Beamer. Like he had a really good first year, took a step back last year, I felt like. And so I felt like, honestly, this year he kind of came into the season and there was a bit of like, depending upon how the season went, his seat could have got hot if it didn't really go well.
Yeah.
And then, after we lost to LSU, and then losing to Alabama, or lost to LSU and losing to Ole Miss and then losing to Alabama, and you're like, man, like with everything that was left, all the games, we had a really tough schedule. I think our strength of schedule was like number 15 in the country or something like that. We had a really tough schedule. And so you're thinking, man, like this season could really go off the rails quick. And they haven't lost a game since that last one, since we were 3-3. And I think it just really goes to show, that Shane Beamer is the guy. He's kind of established himself as the guy. He's building a program that the players believe in. They have trust in him. And I think it's showing on the field, like just how comfortable they are, like how much fun they're having. Obviously, you have more fun when you're winning versus losing, but just in general, you see how they play for each other. And it's the first time not the first time, but it's been a long time since I've enjoyed South Carolina football like this. So it's exciting for me, kind of thinking about the future. But it was really exciting to watch that game and to see us come out on top and that's the thing about this team too that I love is that normally South Carolina, when it comes down to the ends of games, like they don't really go well for us, like in clutch moments. They don't go the other team's way. So seeing this team several times throughout the season, in the Missouri game, coming back and winning, this game coming back and winning, and just, being on the right side of the outcome, right. It feels good. Lenore Sellers is a redshirt freshman. He's just going to continue to grow and get better.
He didn't play like no freshman that day.
He did not. And depending upon how he plays, he could potentially be a Heisman, candidate in the future. So, you can make an argument that, no other quarterback is playing better than him over the last several weeks. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for the future, and I'm looking forward to what's in store.
I'm happy y'all got that win. Now, a question for you, because this is talking about South Carolina. What do you guys need to possibly make the playoffs, or is that already set in stone?
I'm glad you brought that up. That leads us right into our next topic. So we'll get Tony to add in some visual elements, but this is how the rankings. I think there's one more week after the championship games, but honestly, like based on what they said, if you're not playing, there's really no chance of you having any type of movement. So the top 11 teams end up being Oregon at 1, being 12-0, Texas at 2, being 11-1, Penn State at 3, being 11-1, Notre Dame at 4, being 11-1, Georgia at 5, 10-2, Ohio State at 6, 10-2. So they were number 2 and fell all the way to 6 after that loss to Michigan. Tennessee at 7 at 10-2. SMU at 8 at 11-1. Indiana at 9 at 11-1. Boise State at 10 at 11-1. And then last but not least, Alabama at 11 at 9-3. And just, to kind of see where we ended up falling. Miami was at 12 at 10-2. Ole Miss was at 13 at 9-3. And then South Carolina, we ended up at 14 at 9-3. And I do have some thoughts for sure. I feel like going into that game, playing the number 12 team in the country and finding it's a rivalry game. We're playing at Clemson. They're ranked number 12. They're potentially going to be the ACC champion, depending upon how the game with SMU goes. Like, the stakes were really high. And so I thought beating the number 12 team in the nation on the road, I thought for sure was going to, well, I won't say for sure, but I thought gave us a shot at least of being in the college football playoff. I did think beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were going to find a way to put Alabama in, even with some of the nasty losses that they've had. And I'm going to pull up because I do want to talk about this. I want to pull up Alabama's schedule. I want to pull up Miami's, and I want to pull up Ole Miss's just to, kind of talk through how weak their schedule was. So let's start with Alabama. And again, this is no hate to Alabama, but I just feel like they're not the Alabama that we're used to seeing. So Alabama, probably their biggest win of the year was beating y'all. They beat y'all 41. They beat Georgia 41-34.
Oh man.
They did beat South Carolina. We were 27-25. That was definitely a game I felt like we should have won, but we didn't pull it out. They beat Missouri 34-0. They beat LSU 42-13. Now, those are great wins. They lost to Vanderbilt 40-35.
Man.
And they also lost to Oklahoma 24-3. And so I guess the case to me, well, I'm sorry, I forgot one loss. They lost to Tennessee 24-17. So that's 3 losses. Only one of those losses is to a ranked team.
Yeah.
Look, that loss to Oklahoma, and it's on the road, granted, but that looks nasty. You shouldn't lose that game 24-3.
Man. You're right.
So, and I think the College Football Playoff Committee, I feel like they just kind of make the rules up as they go, because basically I think what it comes down to, the reason, their explanation for why they put Alabama in above South Carolina was because of the head-to-head victory, and they beat us by 2 points. But I don't know, man. I feel like you compare the losses, you lose to Vanderbilt, you lose to Tennessee, you lose to Oklahoma, where South Carolina, we lost to LSU, and we got hosed on that in that game, but that's a story for another day. We lost to LSU, we lost to Ole Miss. Ole Miss was probably, our biggest loss of the year.
Right.
and then we lose to Alabama, and it's like those are 3 ranked teams at the time that we lost to. So I think our quality of losses, it looks much better comparing to Alabama. You can say maybe Alabama has better wins, especially the game against Georgia, but Ole Miss on the other hand, let's look at their schedule. They have some really nasty losses. They lost. First off, the only win against a ranked opponent, they did beat y'all. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they beat us.
That's probably their best win, but not probably. It is their best win. But they lost to Kentucky, 20-17. They lost to LSU 29-26, and they lost to Florida 24-17.
Sheesh.
So losing to Kentucky, losing to Florida, it's like, I don't know, man. And it was so nasty because I've been on Twitter, and I've been seeing Lane Kiffin has been tweeting his butt off, campaigning for his team. And I mean, that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to advocate for his team and all that. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, how do you excuse a loss to Kentucky? How do you excuse a loss to Florida? If your team is so good, why are you losing? Why are you losing an unranked team? That shouldn't happen.
Right.
And Miami, I just want to look at their schedule real quick. Because I feel like they haven't played anybody all year, basically. Am I frozen at all, or can you see me okay?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. All right. So this is Miami's schedule this year. They beat Florida 41-17. FAMU. I think I already went over this, but yeah, haven't played anybody, and they lost to Georgia Tech and they lost to Syracuse. Which Syracuse is no slouch, but they're not ranked.
Yeah, it's true.
They play in the ACC. Weak, super weak conference. They don't play anybody, especially this year. And they're not even playing an ACC championship.
Nope.
So they couldn't take advantage of this off schedule. And you still somehow find a way to put them above South Carolina. That doesn't make sense.
It's crazy.
So, Alabama, I get it. If you want to make a case, they beat Georgia. Like, I get it. It's also Alabama, so I feel like there's some favoritism there. But having Miami and having Ole Miss above us, that just doesn't make sense to me. Also, too, I'll go ahead and say it. You have SMU, you got Indiana, you got Boise State, all 11-1. Haven't played anybody basically all year. Indiana, the one team they did play, Ohio State, they got smoked. So, I just I don't know, man. I just feel like and South Carolina is not necessarily a household name in college football.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a situation where I don't feel like we're getting the respect that I feel like we should have earned with our play this year. But we're a good team. Honestly, I feel like South Carolina is at least in the top 11 of teams in college football. There's no way you can convince me otherwise.
I believe it. No, they got screwed, man. It's not. If anything, that's why I kind of wanted. I do want to dig into seeing like what, in order for you guys to make the playoffs, if there was ever a shot, what would you guys need to happen moving like from here on out? Would you need Clemson to lose? Would you need SM?
No, they basically already said the only team that can move in potentially is Clemson. If they win the ACC championship, I think they would automatically like get put in there. But yeah, there's no. It's unfortunate because I was thinking maybe they were okay. Maybe if Clemson does win, it's like okay. Not only did we beat the number 12 team in the nation at the time, but we also beat the ACC champion, and that makes our resume look better. But the committee already came out and said that if you're not playing this upcoming weekend, there's no way you can move in. So yeah, it's over for us this year. But And I think really the takeaway, I've seen some people talking about this on Twitter. It's like if strength of schedule, because my thing is our strength of schedule is a lot tougher than SMU. It's a lot tougher than Indiana. It's a lot tougher than who was the other one? Boise State. So it's like if strength of schedule doesn't matter, then just make your schedule as easy as possible and rack up as many wins as you can, and just take it from there. Like if strength of schedule doesn't really like if playing tough opponents and beating those opponents doesn't really matter, it's like what's the point of scheduling tough opponents then?
Very true. And that's why kind of when it comes to strength of schedule, that's why I'm looking at teams like Oregon, Penn State, like those teams that are up there. It's like, who have y'all played? Yeah. That's why moving forward, like for next season, give Oregon like they play against Alabama. They play against what's a good team in the ACC? They play against Clemson. Like they play against other teams that are legitimately like good instead of playing against weak teams where they can go undefeated. Besides Ohio State, that's the only quality win they have for Oregon, and literally have to battle week in, week out. Like I would, same thing for Georgia. Like I don't want these little easy games. I want to have games where we're playing and we're getting challenged, if that makes sense. So
no, absolutely. Like, how do you find out if you're a good team if you don't play anybody? It's like I'm looking at Oregon's schedule.
Yeah.
Oregon played Ohio State, beat them 32-31. Their second best win after that is beating Illinois, who was ranked number 20. Other than that, listen to this: Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State, UCLA, Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington. They haven't played anybody really.
None.
So it's like, I get it, but it's still, it's like we talked about it several times, but you look at, hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
Okay.
You look at South Carolina and our schedule. And I'm like, man, like how did we get such a tough schedule? And we made it work.
Yeah.
Like LSU was ranked 16 at the time when we played them. We lost, but Ole Miss was ranked 12. We lost. Alabama's ranked 7. We lost. But we played the number 10 team in the nation, Texas A&M. We beat them 44-20.
I'm always confused about this because I can give you a perfect example. You'd be like, yep. So when TCU made it to the Natty,
yep.
Who did they play? Right? Who the hell did they play before they played a team like mine? And when they seen us, a lot of fans are like, "Oh yeah, TCU gonna make the upset." And all this, I'm like, I think we actually like dog walk this team, and we ended up winning like by 60 to I don't know, like the 3 or 10 or whatever. We ended up beating the brakes off them, and it's just like that's what happens when you don't give them experience to play against good teams. Like I'm happy SEC got more challenging by adding Texas and adding Oklahoma, but then again, it's still like, bro, y'all gotta understand who the top dogs in the SEC is. Sorry, Texas. It's not y'all. Like y'all haven't won a chip since Vince Young? Like y'all haven't done anything yet. So it's like y'all start to earn y'all stripes coming into the SEC. Same thing with Clemson. Like Clemson, y'all ain't been shit since Trevor Lawrence left. Like what are we doing? Like like it's confusing to me. And it's one I look at it like this: is they being disrespectful to the game of football because it's like there should be teams that are getting challenged. And a lot of people keep saying Oregon is the best of the best. I haven't seen them beat the best of the best. So I won't be surprised. Let's say if Texas, Alabama, or Georgia make it to the Natty and they're going against an Oregon, I'm sorry, but I think it's going to be a dog walk because they haven't played against a team that has defensive lines like that. The SEC has the best defensive lines. Best defensive lines, like in the country.
I agree with you.
It's going to be hard.
I agree with you. So, again, disappointed, that South Carolina didn't get ranked higher. like I said, I thought it was a long shot, but still, like I said, I'll stand by that of having Miami and Ole Miss ranked above us it's crazy to me because they the losses that Ole Miss has on their resume compared to ours, and then Miami hasn't played anyone all year basically, and they still have 2 losses on the record, even with their schedule being as soft as it is. So,
right.
Were there any surprises? Anything surprise you or stand out about the rankings? Or
I'm happy that we're 5. I wanted to get above. Who else is above us? Because we're 5. What was it?
Is Oregon, Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame. Those are the 4.
I definitely think we're better than Notre Dame, but since I think my team has 2 losses. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like I think a lot of these, teams are gonna see what happened with how this rankings played out, and I think they're just going to, and it's gonna suck for fans, but you're gonna see way less like competitive games, like where you have 2 ranked teams playing against each other, because it's like what's the point? You know what I mean? Like if Notre Dame can get into the college football playoff, barely playing anyone, only having 1 loss on their record, it's like, let me just make my schedule as easy as it possibly be. That way I can stack up wins and I can get in. Because ultimately that's all that matters as long as you get in.
What's the bracket looking like? The projected bracket right now. Who plays who?
Let me see. Let me pull that up real quick. So I think the top 4 teams all have
home field advantage.
They have buys.
So, bye. Lucky them.
Yeah. So Oregon, Texas. Wait, no, this is old. Is this the right thing?
Oregon, Texas. Oh, Penn State, and then Iowa State. No, Penn State. Texas.
Hold on, I got it right here. So, what is this? I don't know. I'm having some trouble finding the right thing. It looks like.
Oh, good.
Okay, no, this is it. So you got Oregon with the. Oh no, I think it's based on
this weekend.
Yeah, and this is projected, I think, based on like conference champions. So like Oregon is and it could potentially fluctuate obviously with what happens this weekend, but Oregon, Texas, Boise State, and SMU with the buys, and then it's got the matchups as Ohio State and Tennessee.
Ooh. Good.
Georgia, Indiana, which I mean, Jesus.
Oh, please! Oh, I'm praying for that. Yeah.
Bro, that wouldn't even be fair. But
the committee want to do the BS, and if it's gonna be a dog walk, keep going. These is ridiculous.
Notre Dame and Alabama was Notre Dame. We've seen that game before.
Excuse me.
Notre Dame and Alabama. We know how.
All right, cool. Good luck.
And then Penn State Penn State and Arizona State. So
I can see how that goes. I think Penn State will take that, but that's a reasonable game. Like that one's a reasonable game. I would have put Alabama against Tennessee. Like heavy hitters against heavy hitters, and then once you get to the next bracket, then you play against heavy hitters again. So it's like I don't know. That's...
But if they actually match Indiana against y'all, like it might as well be a bye for y'all because there's no way y'all would be getting.
It'd be even worse if they gave us Arizona State or MSU or SMU. So I'm just it'll be interesting.
So last but not least, let's preview. We got the championship games this weekend. Just wanted to preview those really quickly before we get out of here. So first we got let's see. The Big 12 championship, Iowa State and Arizona State. Iowa State is ranked number 16 currently. Arizona State ranked number 15. The spread currently is Arizona State at -2. So it looks like they're thinking it's going to be a close game. What are you thinking about that one?
Well, sorry, Arizona State just lost their top wide receiver.
Oh wow, okay.
He's out for the season, so I think that changes a lot of things. So I think that game might come close, but I think Arizona State will win. They have Scatabo, who's probably one of the best all around running backs, all purpose running backs. White boy can run the ball. What can I say? I think Ohio State? Arizona State comes out over Iowa State, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a good game. -2 should be good.
Before we get into the next one, let's get into the I almost forgot about the Mountain West Championship. You got UNLV at Boise State. That game is actually tomorrow at 8:00.
Oh wow.
The spread currently is Boise State at -4. So how are you feeling about it? I feel like Boise State, unless I don't know. I feel like the way Ashton Jeanty's playing, I feel like it's going to be hard for any team that is like kind of near that level. I think it's going to be hard, for them to beat Boise State. Now, once they actually start playing some of the tougher competition in the College Football Playoff, I think it's going to be different. But I think they'll end up coming out with a victory over UNLV. What do you think? And UNLV is ranked number 20, by the way.
Yeah, I think Genty, he's going to get over 100 rushing yards. It just depends on how many TDs he gets. But if they can't stop Genty, I think it's going to be a wrap. I think Boise State wins by 14.
Okay. Next, as far as the bigger championship games go, we got the Big Ten championship. Penn State ranked number 3 in the nation at Oregon. The spread currently is -3.5 for Oregon. I don't know. I'm not really a big James Franklin fan for Penn State. Like, I'm not really a big believer in them. Like, I don't feel like they've really played anybody either. So I think Oregon they're gonna beat them decisively. I think it'll be multiple touchdowns.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna go with the upset because I want Oregon to lose to shake things up for the playoffs. I think Penn State wins by a field goal.
Okay. I'm looking back at their schedule, man. The only team, they lost 20-13 to OSU, to Ohio State. Their best win is Illinois. They beat them 21-7. They were number 19 at the time. But I don't know, man. Their schedule is just not really. They played West Virginia. They played Bowling Green. Kent. Just really not. They haven't really played anybody. But
it makes me more and more glad SEC teams, if they get matched up with these teams, bro. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be in for a rude awakening for sure.
SEC, we got the best teams in the nation. I don't care what anybody says.
All right. So after that, we got the ACC championship.
Okay.
We got number 17 Clemson at number 8 SMU, and right now SMU has it's -2 in SMU's favor.
I don't know football, but I think Clemson wins by more than 14 points. Just saying, like, their defensive line is good. They got NFL ready guys in the defensive line. Their running back is good. The quarterback for Clemson, he's always a little bit iffy, but I don't think they can contain him. But I don't think SMU played against any type of team like Clemson or an Alabama or a South Carolina. Like, I don't
no, their team, their schedule's been pretty soft too. Let me look at it real quick. They beat Nevada. Who is HCU? Houston Christian.
Really? That's not even. I don't even.
Yeah,
know.
they beat Houston Christian 59-7. They lost to BYU 18-15.
Mm-hmm.
They beat TCU 66-42. They beat FSU 42-16. They did beat Louisville. Louisville was ranked 22 at the time. They beat them 34-27. They beat Stanford 40-10. They beat Duke 28-27. They beat Pitt 48-25. So yeah, I mean their best wins are Louisville and Pitt, but I mean they haven't really played like a top team, you know. So
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I'm a Clemson hater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my heart would love if Clemson doesn't win this game,
Mm-hmm.
but my gut tells me that Clemson will probably end up winning the game. So
I know it hurts to say. I don't like Alabama. I hate them. But when it comes to teams that haven't, to me, you haven't earned the right to be ranked what you are because you have a soft schedule.
yeah.
I think they deserve to get blown the hell out. And sorry to say, I hope all these teams that are getting ranked out of nowhere for having soft ass schedules, I hope they lose by more than 2 touchdowns.
No, I'm with you. So yeah, that'll be interesting now to see how that turns out. Last but not least, we got the Georgia Bulldogs at 5 going. Well, it's neutral field games, but facing off with number 2 Texas and Atlanta, Georgia. How are you feeling about that one?
I'm feeling pretty nervous. We've had iffy games all season. I'm wondering how we're going to play. I really want us to play well. I want us to step up. But yeah, it depends. It's up to the kids, man. Hopefully that 8 overtime weekend taught them a lot. But Texas, they're mad. We beat them at home. And they're looking at this as being like a home game for us. Like we're going to have the home crowd. I kind of think it's going to be 50-50, kind of honest, because Texas, they do travel.
Yeah, they do travel, yeah.
Yeah, so going against them, it's going to be a tough game. And it also depends on if Carson Beck is in his head or not. So he's had a good 3-game stretch. So we'll see. Loved his interviews during the week. He did talk about him. It's going viral, like him saying he doesn't watch football. But, I mean, it's kind of okay with me.
Who said that?
Carson Beck. He said he doesn't watch
football.
But if you go into deeper context, he doesn't watch other players, other quarterbacks' games because it kind of already stresses him out when it comes to like cadence and stuff, and he has to focus on his own, practices and whatnot. So, I mean, with this team, Texas is a good team, man. They're a good team. They're solid. Had another good recruiting class. Wisner and Blue, those 2 running backs, man. They get over 100 each. Georgia losing. I'm just gonna say that now. Georgia will lose if they get over 100 rushing yards each. We can't afford it. And looks like yours has a clipped wing with that ankle. I'm just gonna say I'm praying for you, yours, because I'm telling you right now, there's number 11, number 5, and number 10. When we get that sack, we rolling that ankle. Just saying. Should never. They should have never showed that video of his ankle being heavily wrapped. So,
they do have Texas favored right now, -2.5 the spread.
Mm-hmm.
So,
rightfully so.
They're expecting it to be a close game. I like you said for the Georgia side, I think it's gonna be dependent upon how mobile Quinn Ewers can be with that ankle, because I know for sure Kirby Smart is going to send pressure after him, and he's going to test and see how well that ankle is doing, how much he's able to run, how mobile he is, and if he's not able to stand up to that pressure, if he's looking a little gimpy, then Kirby Smart is going to continue sending pressure all day. So that'll be a big part of it. I think, for the Georgia defensive backs, taking advantage of the opportunities if they're able to create turnovers. Like if you get the opportunity to get an interception or whatever, trying to take advantage of that. For Texas, like you said, running the ball is going to be extremely important for them.
Right.
And also, I mean, ultimately, I think for Georgia, it's going to come down to, like you said, Carson Beck and his performance. If he goes out there and he's, stable and like kind of plays within the offense and doesn't really try to do too much, I think y'all will be fine. If he goes out there and, especially if he starts out the game early with a mistake, and then gets in his head, I think it can just kind of unravel after that. So it'll be a good game though. That's probably the game I'm looking forward to the most. I think it'll be the most competitive one for sure. And probably the second one is the Oregon Penn State game. I want to see Oregon smoke Penn State, but we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things I need to see, but Georgia, they're always on, that's my favorite team, my team I've been rolling for a minute. But like I said, man, they can only do what they can control. What they can control is how they play. So they come out guns blazing and play as hard as they can. I'll deal with the result. So
yeah, I am interested to see if the Georgia defense uses that Georgia Tech game, because I'm sure Kirby in the film session, I'm sure he was going off on them, and so I'm interested to see if that kind of helps refocus them for this game, and if y'all come in just kind of dialed in and ready to make something shake. So
the funny part about that is with Kirby Smart, because he did an interview saying that he doesn't get emotional. Mm-hmm. I'm like, have you heard his locker room speeches during halftime?
We see him get emotional on the sideline. So
he can't get emotional, and he doesn't take it personal. I'm like, you do. Yeah. You want to be a dominant team. You want when you come from a Nick Saban program, from that coaching tree, all you know is dominance.
Mm-hmm.
You want to dominate. So don't say that. This game is important to him. We beat Texas already, but it's they're a different team because now they're emphasizing using Arch Manning being the scramble quarterback.
And it's hard to beat a team twice. Yes. When you play the team one time and you kind of you put your stuff on film. It's you are who you are. It's hard to you can't really disguise things. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You just got to line up and play. So it is hard to beat a team twice, especially when they're coming in motivated. And the thing about it is for both of these teams, it kind of takes away the importance of the game because both of y'all are still getting the College Football Playoff. It's really more so about bragging rights and maybe, well, I will say, because if y'all beat them, you probably jump them and get into the top 4.
That's the goal. If we can beat them, it's honestly, for this team being so injured, it's getting that bye so we can get healthy players come time.
Yeah, exactly. So I take that back. That it does, even though both of y'all are still going to be in the College Football Playoff, that getting that bye is tremendously important. So if y'all can, pull off the win and jump them, that'd be huge for y'all. So.
Man, I just think it's kind of F because a lot of people are like, no way Georgia makes the playoffs if you lose. I'm like, honestly, we still do make it. But it's it's just jip because one, teams like the South Carolina Gamecocks, if we lose, y'all should get a bid. Or if we lose, another team should get a bid to get in there. But it's it just sucks the way that they're ruling it. So.
And I hope because they're, when you got big money on the line like this, with these bowl games and stuff, I do feel favoritism and stuff like that, it does come into the conversation, even if they don't admit it. But I do I hope that they just continue to adjust and be flexible with this and just do what's in the best decisions for the schools and for the athletes overall. Tweak the process. Clearly, like I said, after the way this is unfolded this year, I think there is some additional tweaking that needs to take place, and hopefully they're open to that, and they're not just okay, we're just going to keep it like it is. Because, like I said, I don't believe there's 12 teams better than South Carolina in college football, but it's a shame that we won't be able to get that spotlight on us to really show it, by getting into the playoff, but. We'll see what the future holds, obviously, as far as
definitely. I agree with you 100%.
The future's bright, so I'm excited. Like I said, did you want to before we close out, anything you wanted to
add? Kirby, if you can just go ahead and have a really, really good. It's already past that because today's Thursday, and then No, Saturday. But I hope you had a very bloody Tuesday, which is one of our most famous practices. And I hope I just hope my Georgia team comes out. We can come out flat and get our asses kicked. I just don't want that. I want to be competitive. I want to win. But I want to do it the right way. Georgia man and Georgia demeanor, which means we're running down the gut, running down their gut, and then also just being very dominant on defense. So I hope we win. And like I said, it's always fuck them horns. So.
Well, we'll close it out with that. We appreciate, everybody for tuning in. Anyone who, whether you like, share, subscribe, comment, or do anything, kind of involved in the content that we put out there, we appreciate you 100%. And, if you have any feedback for us, we love we're receptive to that. So please, if you feel like there's anything we can improve on, please feel free to share that with us. But this is another episode of After the Catch presented by PGM, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Sir.